the CHIPS Act funding and onshoring, the goal is generally to get by 2030 to something like 20% of that advanced node manufacturing capacity in the US. But that depends on three companies here, TSMC, Intel, and Samsung. As we know, Intel and Samsung have run into some significant technological and financial difficulties over the last few months. Intel's laid off a lot of people. So they're big CHIPS Act recipients, but their sort of future ability to compete in these advanced node manufacturing areas with TSMC is called into question here. So I think that certainly the Trump administration there's support for this kind of onshoring of advanced manufacturing. But for example, I don't think that the Trump administration would support a CHIPS 2 Act, which has been much discussed here. Trump himself has talked about how he's not that thrilled with the CHIPS Act. But again, I think as your previous guest noted, he's probably not going to roll this back. He may want to modify it and change some of the priorities here. But the big question for the industry is, what's the long-term U.S. commitment to industrial policy here? I mean, these are companies with 5 to 10-year outlooks here. It takes a long time to develop an advanced manufacturing facility and the supply chains around it in the U.S. And so the industry is looking for a long-term commitment here, and that may not be forthcoming from the new Trump administration. Nevertheless, no matter what happens, by 2030, even if everything goes swimmingly, we're going to still have a major dependence on Taiwan. For example, TSMC, if everything gets built in Arizona, the Gigafactory, by 2030, that's still going to represent single-digit production capacity compared to what TSMC is building on Taiwan. So we're going to still have that dependence, a huge dependence on Taiwan. It'll be reduced slightly and significantly, but not really moving the needle in terms of that dependence.